טוב, שלום לכולם. לפני שאני מביא את ההנחיה למישהו אמרת לי? גרשי. לפני שאני מביא את ההנחיה לתגב גרשי, אני רציתי לבקש, אנחנו פה התאספנו להתפרק ולכבד את המנוח. אפשר בבקשה להשתיק טלפונים? אני כבר נותן את הדברים.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אכסב, ינאות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינתנני, נפשי ישתק. הנחני למעגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא צונו, לא אירא כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורותיי. ישנתי בשמן ראשי, כוסי וביד, אך טוב וחסד יטבחוני כל ימי חיי. ישבתי בבית אדוני לעונג יומי. And here for our final respect. Our first hesped will be from Rabbi Yosef Ginsburg. Yosef Ginsburg.
Gemara in Shabbos says, "Meis echad b'nei chabura, ida v'kol b'nei chabura." Multiple ways to translate that. There are multiple ways to translate that. Meis echad b'nei chabura, ida v'kol b'nei chabura. Yidagu has two meanings. It's worry, and it means to take care of. Meis echad b'nei chabura. Somebody who's a ben chabura, he's not just a person, a random person, but he represents the entire group. Somebody that everybody knows, somebody that everybody loves. It's not a regular thing. It's a loss to all of us. It's for something for everybody in our community to worry about, to be upset about. But the word yidagu also means to take care of. And there's a family, there's a shul that he loved, that we need to take care of. The family that he loved, even more, that we need to take care of and to care for. Yaakov ben Zion HaLevi and Elchanan Berivka is one of the most, probably the most beloved person I've ever met. Edie showing, as usual, her concern for everybody else, asked me to be very brief. Generally, I like to be brief anyway, but this is one of those cases where I really could go on. She's concerned about the temperature for everybody, so I'm not going to talk about Jack's graciousness or how gentle he was or genteel. He was kind, uncomplaining, and non-combative in every circumstance. Yesterday I was learning, and I happened upon Shav Shmaitza. Shav Shmaitza was written in the mid-1700s, a very famous yeshivish book. Shav Shmaitza says something very interesting. He's contrasting the difference between the Torah Shebiktav, Torah as we have it, that we read in shul, and the Torah Shebal Peh, which is the Gemara, the Talmud, etc. He writes, just like the Torah Shebiktav is written in a certain way, on parchment, not just on paper, etc., all the rules about a Sefer Torah. And that cloth, that parchment, has holiness attached to it. The Torah Shebal Peh, Torah that is the actual halacha that we follow, is written on the mouths of the people who represent it. I can't think of another person other than Jack, whose mouth was such a beautiful representation of all of the best values that the Torah teaches us. Graciousness, compassion, kindness, never complaining. The other day, speaking with Edie in the car, that he never got into a fight. It's hard to believe a contractor who never got into a fight with a customer, but in this case, I believe it. I met Jack just almost immediately upon our Aliyah a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and there was an empty seat next to him. I sat next to him, and I don't even remember anymore if it was the first time in davening or the second, maybe the third. His tzitzis got caught on the jacket, the collar of his jacket, which is, anybody who wears a tallis regularly is well aware that something that happens to all of us, it's no big deal. The problem is that when you get to Shema and you're looking for the tzitzit, you can't see it. So he was having difficulty finding the last one, and I realized that. I just, half a second without thinking, I just reached up and pulled it down so he could see it. No big deal. I'm not saying it is a praise of something great that I did. But his thanks, the effusiveness of his thanks to me, and the graciousness of that is still in my mind. It was nothing, half a second. His reputation speaks for itself. Edie said this. We need to speak, but we can't because of brevity issues, but about Edie's care. I'm sure Lisa, I only went with Edie. I have no doubt that Lisa and the rest of the family also, and I can't leave out his adopted son, Suresh. Thank you. Suresh could not have been better had you been actually than his son. Geez, you don't even know about this, but at the Shabbat after davening, around Musaf time, after the rabbi's speech, we would joke about whether you'd be on time or not, because it was a long speech, it was a short speech. You were always exactly on time. It became like a really, just a joke between us. Is he going to be on time? Of course. Yaakov ben Zion Alevi, Chanan Berivka. I have one last request I want to make of you. You should be a Melitz Yosher for your family, for all those who loved you and miss you. When you approach with your son Chaim, Rebbeinu Shalom, have us all in mind. Peace for Klal Yisrael, peace for Eretz Yisrael, for the soldiers, for the Chatufim, for all those who are in need of help.
Call on Lisa Parshan.
To know my dad, love him. He never wanted or needed to be the center of attention, but you couldn't help but notice it. Could you say it was because of his stature, After all, he stood about 6 feet tall. But the answer is no, because even when his illness confined him to mostly sitting, he still lit up a room. His gentle countenance, his wry sense of humor, and his unabashed love for his family were his most prominent features. For anyone who didn't know my dad way back when, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about him, what I learned from him, and how his passing has left the world a little darker. My dad was the one to always remind me to not let things go. While I often followed the path of least resistance, he would dig in his heels, fighting for what was right, and would not let go until it was resolved. His devotion and love knew no bounds. While I have no memories of him as an infant, I can certainly know how much love he had for me through the demonstrative way he was with my children, always offering to Zaidy sit, never shirking his diaper-changing duties, and even lovingly bathing his firstborn granddaughter after being vomited on. When we moved to Detroit, on more than one occasion, he unexpectedly showed up at our home just so he could get a snuggle and cuddle from his grandchildren. Not only did he love my children, he was equitable and affectionate with his love of children in the shul and in the community. Children sense sincerity and love, and they gravitated towards him easily. He was a devoted husband, never failing to tell my mother how beautiful she was or how much he loved her. He was a devoted son-in-law to my grandmother, my mom's mom, kind, respectful, present, and available, forever willing to lend a hand whenever needed. He taught me about gratitude. He would never leave a meal or a simcha or a family event without acknowledging his awareness and appreciation of the effort it took to make it happen. He was well known to tear up at times when expressing his gratitude. He was never afraid to show his emotions. My dad rarely complained about his physical state. He never asked why me when it came to his physical condition. He never demanded more aggressive treatments. I believe that in some ways it shows you his nature, a truly accepting person. He took what came his way, and from this, I learned about resilience. When my brother passed away about 17 years ago, my dad and my mom breathed resilience. Not willing to let the insurmountable grief carry them away, they channeled their emotions into actions, commissioning a Sefer Torah and creating a scholarship fund in his memory. My father leaves behind a family who loves him, respects him, cherishes him, and my children are very blessed to have grandparents. And my grandchildren are very blessed to have great-grandparents. My parents never knew their grandparents. He was an athlete. He loved playing and watching sports. He ran, and when I say he ran, I mean he would leave our house in the morning and come back hours later, maybe even running 20 miles, long before trackers could accurately even gauge his pace. He was a hands-on dad who taught me practical things too. From my dad, I learned how to drive, and he took me and my niece and his nieces on our road tests. He had a pinky ring that he would give us for good luck. We all passed on our first try. Winters were spent ice skating or tobogganing, for those of you from Toronto, down Killer Hill. Summers found us on tennis courts, throwing around a baseball, or heading downtown to Toronto to a PJs game. It's not uncommon for people to get together into Hillam groups and daven for Cholim. I personally have had always a hashkafet problem when we say we're davening for the refuah shalema of person, when they would unlikely have a refuah shalema. While I believe in miracles, hidden and revealed, I've always wondered if the focus of my tehillim should be for the cholim, or should it be differently skewed. For my father, my tefillot were to pray that he would not continue suffering in this world, that the right medical decisions were made, and his medical needs were met. Those prayers, I know, were answered. When my father was hospitalized 8 months ago, it was a painful realization that he was gradually declining. Sometimes when someone passes, they will say, he's in a better place. I find that hollow and meaningless. But in my father's situation, I sincerely believe he's in a better place. His suffering is over. To the community of Modiin, I'd like to say a few words on behalf of my mother. I'd like to express her immense gratitude to this amazing community. It is one thing for someone to say, sure, I'll drive you. It's another level to actually do it. You've not only come through on each and every one of your offers, but you continually offer assistance whenever my mother needed it, and even if she didn't know she needed it. Whether it's Shabbat invitations, flowers, errands, groceries, the effort, the follow-through, and the love is so appreciated. The words, thank you, are not enough to convey the hakarat hatov she feels. And on behalf of our family, we thank you for taking care of my mom, our Zavta. To my dad. You checked all the boxes of what a father and Zaidy should be. Emotionally and physically loving, reliable and consistent. You are loved by your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. We are so grateful that we can build memories together. I'm so grateful that you came on Aliyah. After not living in the same country for about 17 years, being in Israel gave us a wonderful opportunity to spend 8 years together. I am very blessed to say that my father and I had a loving relationship. His absence has already left a huge gap in my heart. He's already missed, and he never will be forgotten.
Our final hesped will be by our beloved Moreno Harav Adi Sultanet HaKohen. Saying the session that we had with the family on Friday of last week. And Edie was ever so concerned about each and every one of us who came to commemorate our beloved Jack. And she said to me and to us, a good man needs no words, meaning that his life is what spoke for him. Jack was iconic, not just a good man. In the shul, he had this iconic quality, who fought like Yaakov in the Torah, against God, with man, and he prevailed, and he fought back. Yes, like Yaakov, he had a disability, but that never kept him down. But there is one word, not a sentence, not a parsha, one word that I believe sums up this heroic man. The word that he used ever so often, Asher Koach. Asher Koach came out of his mouth at every opportunity. And it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. He really meant it. One day in the quietude, when we were alone, I asked him, Jack, what do you mean when you say Asher Koach? And he said that he meant, may God bless you with strength. So I say on behalf of Jack and on behalf of Edie, first of all to Edie herself, Asher Koach, to his soulmate, to his children, Asher Koach, Lisa, Lisa and Menachem, and of course, his son, who's called Chaim, even though he is no longer with us, he was Chaim in the life of this beloved family. He was a part and parcel of this life. And again, Asher Koach to his children, to his grandchildren, Shira, Avi, Eli, Tehillah, Yasher Koach, to the community, as Lisa mentioned, that was so much beloved by this man and woman, they never tired of talking about it. Their connection to this community goes beyond that word of Asher Koach. But everyone who knew him heard him say Asher Koach. I still hear his words when I go up to Duchen, and Jack the Levi would say Asher Koach every time, without exception. To the community he loved, as you mentioned, he would say Asher Koach. To the Giborim, the Chatufim, the displaced in the north, and the displaced in the south, as I mentioned about Jack on Shabbat, he would recite Asher Koach and say Asher Koach. I want to add other words by Evie that she shared with us in the quietude of that evening. That she went to her beloved husband on Friday, sat down, held his hand, and said, "You're free to go. Your time has come. I conclude with caring your love, caring all that you represent to me." What a fantastic mention that Evie had with Jack. It was remarkable. It was in sync. Asher Koach to them both for allowing us to have the privilege of knowing them for what they are, and to care about each and every one of you, each and every one of us, whether it was a member that just joined Asher Koach, whether it was individuals who received a kavod, Asher Koach, if it was anybody who came into the shul that came in contact with this man, Asher Koach. Evie's words, as I mentioned, sum up their relationship. And of course, the Shores as well. They, Asher Koach, in the case of Shores, I'm sure he understood what Jack was saying and what Jack was feeling. And finally, I say to Jack, on behalf of all of us, Jack, Asher Koach, for a life well lived. Asher Koach, as you are in a position where you are on your journey from Olam Hazeh to Olam Haba, Asher Koach, may you be blessed with God's strength on this final journey
Before we rise for Fillmore afternoon, I'd like to call 6 gentlemen who will accompany him on his final journey to his resting place. Menachem Brown, Avi Mechanic, Avi Parshan, Jason Roskin, Len Rothstein, and Gary Charlotte.
Jason has to drive to Brian to the should it be
Aaron Israel. Please take the place next to him. Let's rise for Fillmore מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת יעקב בן ציון בן אלחונן הלוי שלח לעולמו בעבור שאנו מתפללים בעד אזכורת נשמתו בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסדר כנפיו לעולמים ביצרו לחיים את נשמתו אדוני הוא נחלתו ינוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר
אנחנו מחסום הכל בסדר. לא, תרימו לו.